Hey up everyone, I'm Series Circuit and welcome back to House Flipper. Today it's episode 23, I believe. Although that rhymed, I didn't mean for it to rhyme, but it is, I was trying to think of another rhyme for rhyme, but oh well. I guess I'm out of time. Anyway, as I said, it's episode 23. We are continuing with the paint colour challenge today, so without further ado, shall we get to it? Okay, there is a reason I am looking at the floor, and that reason is because the house is right in front of us. So, I mean, if you watched last week's episode, you kind of already know. Hang on a second. It is! It's a house! How did I not notice that? The cloud on the right-hand side there. That's a mouse. A mouse? A house! But yeah, anyway. This is the property that we're doing today. It's called the Man Cave. So let's do the property description. A house with a garage for partial renovation, a big basement, potentially its own living space. I recommend checking it out. It might surprise you. I was renting this house out to some guy. I think he sat in the basement, probably never coming out. I'm not surprised, to be honest. To the rest of the house requires some serious renovation, but it has potential. So this guy is basically a hermit in his little hole. That's why it's called a man cave. He quite literally had a cave downstairs. But yeah, this is what the property looks like. By the way, forgot to mention that by these pictures. As there you can see quite a bit the house needs some plastering and there's quite a bit of rubbish and graffiti everywhere. But we will be doing the colour challenge today. I realised last week I said that I would be doing the family house, but actually this house comes first, so the family house with the Johnson family will be next week, not this week. So this week the colour challenge continues. So let's get the dice roller up. We all know how this rules by now. I'm gonna get my paints up as well so we can all see. I mean, if you watch last 3 weeks' videos, you know the rules, but a quick rundown. Basically, the dice picks whichever colour we use out of this set. And so we've already done cream, we've done cream, we've done orange, and I think we've done actually, did we do the grayscale? No, it was blue. It was blue, wasn't it? Was it blue? I have no idea. Hang on, let me just check. I think I know it's cream and orange that we've done, but I'm not entirely sure what else we've done, so I'm just checking my own channel. It's early in the morning and I'm still a little under the weather, so I'm a bit out of it, but bear with me 1 second. Let me just find the house. Oh, yeah, it's blue, cream, and orange. Cool. Alright, so the dice lands on one of those, then obviously we won't be doing those three. So blue is number 1, yellow is number 10, and obviously the gradient set doesn't, if it lands on one of the colours that are in the gradient set, that's fine. That's why it's 1 to 10 and not 1 to 11, because I'm not counting gradient set as a colour, because it's just all the other colours, just in different shades. So let's roll this dice. If I was a gambling woman, I'd be awful, because I can't even get my thing to work. Come on, OBS. Can't even roll a dice. There we go. Right, now it's working on me. Right, let's roll this. So I'm going to get the 10 dice up. And we never acknowledge the first roll. Let's roll it again. So 3. What's number 3? Oh, that's cream. So we can't have cream, so we're going to have to roll it again. Third time's the charm. Number 4. What's 4? Oh, 4 is grayscale. So we're going to be doing a house in black and whites and greys today. So yeah, alright, cool, we can do that. We're going to have a monochrome house. It's going to be very interesting, let's just say. And you might be thinking, oh, why is it grayscale? Because look, if I count 1, 2, 3, skip gradient set, 4. So yeah, grayscale is what we're doing the house in today. So without further ado, shall we get on to the before tour? Alright, let's go. Obviously this property is basescape, so I won't be doing the garden aside from probably mowing it, if I can be bothered, and like clearing up the rubbish outside. But yeah, this is the property on the outside. As we can see, we've got quite a bit of graffiti, and the outside is also a nice lemon colour. It's really annoying because this is one of the only properties I've seen that doesn't have like cladding on the outside. Or brick on the outside, and it looks really nice, and now I've got to go and change it into grayscale. I mean, sometimes I do change the outside, sometimes I don't. It just depends on how long I've spent on the property. But yeah, that is the outside, so let's do the in. Okie dokie, in we go. Oh, the cabinets are all over the place. They've got what looks like a tumble dryer. See, this doesn't exist in the game for me. This isn't like a thing that exists. It must be too old technology. Oh my god, what happened upstairs? This guy was just living downstairs. So I'm really curious to see what his thing was downstairs. To be honest, I actually don't mind this layout, like kitchen, dining room, living room. I think that's actually quite nice. So I'm thinking for this property, what I might do, depending on the size of the downstairs, is I might do like two separate. So you got like your main living house, and then like almost like what we call like a granny house, but downstairs. I don't know whether you guys call it that, but basically a granny's house is basically like a small thing you attach to your normal house so that your elderly relatives can live with you but still have some semblance of independence. So I'm effectively going to be doing that, but down the stairs. Oh my god, there is so much rubbish everywhere. Okie dokie. We've got another door in here, but I want to just check up here too. I keep getting my buttons all mixed up, pressing triangle to jump when I don't need to. And whoever's world's best dad graffitied everywhere, like, geez, man. Okay, so this is the bathroom, yeah. So upstairs, oh, that needs rearranging because that's hard to get into. It's very rare that the devs make the bathrooms hard to get into, but yeah. I was going to say, this needs a little rearrangement in terms of where the door is. I think I might put the door on this wall. Just because it's a bit difficult to get in. So yeah, we've just got one more door left to go. I'm trying to give you the best view that I can. I know sometimes I rush through the before tour, so I'm just trying to give you the best view. Okay, so that's cool. All right. I was thinking, I was wondering like how on earth the other person's going to access the downstairs. And this is house. Actually, this might be a reverse granny flat where the top is the granny's house and the bottom is the actual person's house. I don't know, because Granny might not be able to do the stairs. Okay, so this is quite... Oh, I see. It loops around, doesn't it? Okay. Okay. Nice. Used to be... I can't get in because of the rubbish on the floor. I never do this, but I had to pick that up to get into the room. Okay, this is quite nice down here. Yeah, look, it's like a whole little... It is an actual man cave. I thought it was just going to be like a survival shelter. I thought the dude was going to be like a nut that is like must put everything in survival. I mean, I say he's a nut, but he'll be one of the only ones that survived the apocalypse. But yeah, it's quite nice in here, the downstairs anyway. So this could quite easily be converted into two homes. Easy peasy. I mean, squeezy. I mean, you got a big space here. So I might end up separating this into like, because he's got no bedroom. So I might end up separating some of this into like a bedroom space as well. He's got a big bathroom. He's got everything you could need. You can have plenty of storage here, utilities and everything. So cool. That's cool. Okay, I like this house. This house is going to be a fun challenge, I think. So yeah, that is the before tour. Let me just get out the property and I'm going to shut all the doors as I go. Make it seem like I was never here. Okie dokie. Yeah, this house is actually quite a lot bigger than you think. But yeah, okay, let's just shut that up. Awesome, that is the before tour. So I guess, without further ado, we're going to get renovating. But before we start renovating, I'm just going to say that when it comes time to do the total time, I will be taking off, say, half an hour. It's on 27. It's going to be on 27 in a minute. So I'm going to take off half an hour just to make it easy maths from the total time. So that way we can all figure it out together. So yeah, let's get on with the renovation. Oh my god, I have broken the world. I fell through the floor and now here I remain. I'm not a house flipper but a world flipper. Look, I can go and explore the entire gardens of everywhere. Oh, I am back. Okay, back to renovating. Jesus. Okay, are we ready for the final reveal? I hope you guys are as excited as I am. I've left the outside largely the same. I just changed the brickwork to grey. I thought with the white windows and the right frame and the right white roof, which are all part of the grayscale, I could actually keep the yellow walls, seeing as I was so fond of them. But as you can see on the front door, I've added in some flowers and some grass just to kind of bring some more vibrancy to the front door. But let's go around the outside first and foremost. This is pretty much the same as always. I've left all the original windows in place for a change. Like, I've not actually changed a single one of them. However, this patio area I have changed. Now, I wasn't actually planning on doing it, but then I accidentally sold one of the wooden panels that were here, and there isn't actually a replacement within the garden section. Like, if I go to surfaces and I go to paving slabs where it should be, there's no wooden version of it anywhere, as you can see as I scroll through here. So yeah, I basically had no choice but to kind of do these up. So I kind of did them in a similar fashion on both sides, and then this middle section I added in some more colours with the bushes, and also this bit here for both of the doors. So I left the doors in the same place. For once, I've actually not changed too much of the structure of the house. And then this side is about the same, apart from obviously the lawn has been mowed. So time to go indoors. As you can see, I changed the front door too to a white, and I added in a window to make it more bright and airy in here. Obviously, you don't want a dark and dingy hallway. This has completely changed in terms of the furniture within, but actually the general premise of the layout is pretty much exactly the same. So you've got your little corridor bit here with a nice load of hooks for your coats and also your shoes, and a nice little plant that glows to add a bit of like warmth in. And also the bottom of the pot is blue. The carpet is white though, so yeah. And obviously I've got my greys and my whites and my grey scales in where I could, and even the lights are grey. But yeah, and then I added in some warmth with the oak archways, which I feel like makes it feel a bit more refined than just having straight open walls. But yeah, this is the kitchen. You've got a little breakfast bar. There's a slight bit of lag, I do apologise, just there's so much stuff in the house that my poor console can't keep up. But you got everything you could need, all your cupboards and everything. So this is a much bigger kitchen than what was here before, which I think is a massive improvement compared to before. And then obviously you've got your dining room table, so all I've done is just upgrade it to a nice warm wood, and it's slightly larger in place, and I added in some white curtains and obviously refreshed the white paint, and I kept like this grey rock theme going throughout the kitchen and then the main living area, as I feel like it kind of makes it feel a bit more cohesive, you know, as like as a single space. And then I added in some blues to add a bits of colour in where I could get away with a bit of colour. And then obviously I added in a little fireplace here with a nice blue clock on top. So I built this out properly and put like a little log burner in because I prefer the log burner. And then this is the main sitting area. So you got like a grey and blue sofa and so on. So I kind of got a mix. Like, I've not just gone for greys walls, grey floors. I've gone for like greys and whites and blues everywhere to kind of get as much in as I could, but also add some variation in. And then obviously this door goes outside to the garden, so obviously you've got this nice little patio area with like grey gravel and so on. So yeah, I've done my best basically in this room. So this is the living room. It's nice and compact, but also still plenty of seating and plenty of space to stretch out your legs with a decent sized TV and, you know, enough places for people to sit down and enjoy. And then as you go down the hallway, you would have known originally that the bathroom door was here. I've obviously changed that to be here. So this is now the new bathroom. It is the same size as before. All I did was move the door. So instead of having like just a random shower in the corner, obviously I've got my sink and my toilet with some storage and obviously my mirror. And then this mirror is cool because it lights up. So you have like extra light, and then I've got my two windows in the same place, and I've gone for this nice little checkerboard grey tile as I like the different shades of grey, and I've gone for a combined bath and shower in here as I feel like that made more sense for a bathroom this size to like combine the two, because, you know, I've kind of gone with the idea of making this like two separate houses. So, well, flats. So if you've got a flat and you've got the option, you're going to want a bathtub and a shower, aren't you? You don't want just the one. So anyway, this is now the new main bedroom. I don't know why. It just feels bigger now that I've done it. I always get that feeling whenever I renovate that somehow the space feels bigger, but we've got much more storage in here. In this room originally, there wasn't anything apart from just rubbish on the floor. We've got a big double bed. We've obviously got a little chair to sit on to do your shoes, and a big mirror for like you know, your outfits and whatnot, and plenty of storage for not just your clothes but for everything else that might be in this flat, because I always find with flats that you don't necessarily have a lot of storage. That's why in the kitchen and the living room I've done, not the living room, the bedroom, I've done my best to add in a lot of storage. And obviously this is the second French doors that goes outside. Normally I wouldn't have these doors in a bedroom, but seeing as they're like the only form of a window, I've left them in as they are, and also they can let some fresh air into the room if I left it open, you know, some fresh air. And you might be thinking, hang on a minute series, that isn't grey. Let me inform you about grey beige, which is apparently part of the grayscale sets. So let's have a look. Paint. If I go down to grayscale, it's this. Grey beige is a shade that I used in here. It's a nice warm colour, and obviously I've got the white carpet, so that's 2 grades. Grayscale things. Grayscale doesn't just mean grey, and I had to keep remembering that grayscale doesn't just mean grey, because I kept going, oh, this doesn't count. Yes, it does. And then in here, it's a very simple garage space. I've not really done a whole lot. I brought these up from downstairs as it didn't really make sense downstairs, and I added in a little washer and dryer unit so you can actually do your laundry in this flat, you know, because there wasn't really space in the kitchen to add them in where I normally would. And use your grey paneling and your grey floor, so there isn't much to a garage, but then again you don't really need a whole lot to a garage. And if they wanted to, if they didn't own a car, they could put way more storage in here if they needed it. Obviously this door here now leads to the second flat, so let's have a look, shall we? Once again, I've gone for the grey beige in here. I just feel it helps to... Oh wait, that wall, where does this wall lead to? I don't know where this... I think that wall's actually the bathroom wall. I was going to say, if that was an exterior wall, I would have put a window on it, but I don't think it is. Anyway, we're going to go down here and I show you the second flat. So obviously that's the front door. I've added these lights in to make it feel bright so it's not so scary coming down. And then you come down and straight away you are in your kitchen. Obviously the fuse box is here, but I can't actually move the fuse box. I can only open it. So if I could have moved the fuse box, I would have moved it so it was a bit further up, so they weren't smack bang in this person's flat. Obviously if the fuse goes upstairs, you're going to want a fuse box in both. But I can't place another one down, so this is what we're rocking with. You got your little coat section here, not as big as before, but you got a couple of shoe racks. But they also have the under the stairs storage space, so if they really wanted to, they could put some stuff down here. This flat is obviously a little bit smaller than the one upstairs, so it would be cheaper. I just realised those are lopsided. They look like they were fine, they are lopsided. But I tried to add some greenery in, and then you've got obviously a smaller kitchen dining space. Oh my god, I cannot place flowers straight apparently. Yeah, we're just gonna go with that and pretend that's equal. And I added in some pictures to make it nice in here, and it's got like a yellow and like grey beige kind of theme. I may have gone slightly off the grayscale set here, but I went with the white kitchen because again that's part of the grayscale, so I was like, that'll do. And you got your washing machine and all your stuff that you need, and you know, your hob. And because they haven't got a whole lot of space for like dishes, I've added in a dishwasher to do it for them. And then in here is the main area, so I guess you can almost call this a studio, because you've got your big bed, a bigger bed than the upstairs bed, which is also a bonus. Again, lots of storage, especially if you're just a single occupant. You've got a little desk here to work. I didn't know really what to put in this space, so I put a desk in with like a graphics tablet, which I think is super cute. They've got a better fireplace as well, proper log burner over here, and again their own sofa. Don't ask me why the whites in this game, none of the swatches match. Some of them look grey, some of them are like vibrant right like this, where they literally glow when the lights are on. When the lights are off, it don't glow. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh no, it still does glow, never mind. But sometimes it doesn't glow, sometimes it does. Don't ask me why it does that, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just going to turn my lights on, and they've got a much bigger TV. So obviously they've got a slightly smaller living room area, but again, still, for like a studio, it isn't bad. And obviously having a proper fireplace in a home is a boom. So we're gonna have that, and then I've gone for like a nice like blue wallpaper, grey beige, white furniture situation again, like to match outside with the whites. And then you come in here and this is the bathroom. Again, not a bad bathroom for a downstairs single flat. Like, as I say, it's basically a studio at this point. You got your kitchen and your living room and all of it all together. But yeah, I don't think it's bad, especially if it's like a granny flat. And then you've got your bath here, and it does actually have like a shower head, so you could have a shower if you really wanted to in here, but it's it's a much bigger bathtub than the one upstairs as well. Like, it's much longer, which I think is also nice. And you've got your mirror and your sink and your toilet, and I've gone for a green and grey and white theme in here. So again, I'll try my best to add in colour where I can, because grayscale can be very boring, and I didn't just want to have a very boring house. But yeah, and I also added in like as much colour as I can with paintings. I really like this painting. I think it really suits this space, and I actually feel like with the floral theme on the wallpaper as well, it really does go. But yeah, that is the whole house. It's not as busy as a lot of my other properties, but I think I've done well in converting like 2 separate spaces into one one home into 2 livable spaces, especially considering that this was just a dark, dank man cave before. So I'm just going to do a couple of panning shots of the room so that you can see properly for yourselves as well, just to give you a good view of all the little details that are all over the place. My panning skills aren't great when I've got a laggy camera. That's what I get for playing on console, and no, I will not be playing, obviously. I don't fancy buying the whole game again and starting the whole game all over just for the last few properties. It's not really worth it to me. And then you come into here, so back into the flat number 1. So we're going to go into the bedroom, do a quick pan. I'm not very good at being a cameraman, but I'm trying. That's the important part. It's like really janky because sometimes the camera moves really quick, and then sometimes it just takes forever to go. So you're sat there going, excuse me, do you think you can spin for me? But no, apparently not. There we go. That is the whole place. So yeah, I think I did a fantastic job. So I'm going to toot my own horn and say I did a fantastic job. I can't speak today. Also, I did it all with £23.25 of my overall money that I had left. I was getting really worried at the end that I wouldn't be able to afford things. But yeah, the total time for this renovation, I forgot to take note of the time before I did the after tour, but oh well. Can I put it up for market, game? No? You don't want to let me? Game, I'm pressing the buttons. It's not letting me put it up for sale. Oh, I'm an idiot. It's my office. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, and we are back. So as I was saying, the total time for this renovation was, if we look here, 4 hours and 6 minutes and 14 seconds. However, that is before we take away 30 minutes from the total time, as I was already on this property for about half an hour before I started renovating. So actually the total time is 3 hours 34 minutes and 14 seconds. So yeah, 3 hours 34 minutes and 14 seconds. I can't do words today, apparently. I really suck at doing words, unfortunately for me. Okay, so it's now time to put this property on the market before we sell it to actual individuals in the game. So if I were to put this property on the market, I'd put it up as follows. With the previous occupant having vacated, gone to is their dark abode, located in the cellar of this house. This house has undergone extensive repairs. The developers of this property have paid meticulous attention to detail, thus ensuring that all changes made are practical, long-lasting and stylish. This house has now been divided into 2 separate flats, both of which contain 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a living room, a kitchen and a dining room. Additionally, the ground floor flat also has an attached garage. So ground floor here in the UK would be the flat that you first walk into, and then the cellar flat would be -1 if it was a lift. So for American audiences, I believe that would mean that the flat on the, well, that you first walk into would be floor number 1, I think, but don't quote me on that, I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, that would be how I would market this property. Okay, so let's sell this place, put it up to auction. And I right, so I guess I could have done the garden thing, but seeing as this is supposed to be a base game property and I wasn't supposed to touch the garden, I'm going to leave it as it is. And apparently my overall renovation cost was £2,000. So I don't know how they came to that figure, but yeah. See, now I've got the Family Johnson, but I don't want them this week, I want them next week. So let's see what they have to say. They say 2 bathrooms is just right, but if there was one more, it would be even better. This wooden furniture makes the house look very cosy, which is exactly what I'm going for, although they spelled cozy wrong. And on the British setting, it should have an S in there, not a Z. And then it says there is one rug, nice, but more would be better, even though there's loads of rugs. I mean, in the living room and kitchen on the first floor anyway, there's at least 3 rugs. And then it says we don't want to have to pay for extra for expensive furniture, so they like the fact that the furniture isn't expensive, despite the fact that I've got 2 of the most expensive beds in the game in the house, and also 2 of the most expensive TVs. And the bedroom isn't a place for toys, so they're happy that those things are the same. It says 2 bedrooms are not enough for the 6 of us, which is also true. It is not enough for the 6 of them. There's no big family room, and there are no children's rooms, which is true because I wasn't building this with the mind of them. Building this with them in mind. So these are things we've got to pay attention to for next week. But as it goes, our base rate of profit before we try and negotiate is about £36,500. So now we're going to negotiate the whole way up, as we do every single week. Out of the 23 episodes this will be, I've not had a single one of them say yes. So will this be the episode? Probably not, but we're asking for an extra £46,000. Let's see. Yeah, we thought that this price is too high for this house. So we're 23-0 in terms of these negotiations. So we're going to accept that offer for £36,500 profit, which is not bad because I was practically running out of money for next week's video. I was like, how am I going to renovate with 23 quid? I don't know. But anyway, as we're loading in here, I'm going to go into my final thought. So I guess you could say my final thoughts, as it were, for this property. I actually quite enjoyed this one. I know I say I enjoy it a lot. I do enjoy the game of House Flipper, but I feel like this house is like fairly unique in comparison to a lot of the other properties I've done. One, as I said before I started renovating, that it was one of the few that didn't have like cladded or brick walls to start off with, which immediately set it apart from the rest of them. 2, I kind of like the idea that the tenant kind of went, nah, I don't want to live in the top half of the flat, I just want to live in the bottom half. So I was like, that's kind of crazy, man, but alright, you do you. And it was nice to be able to like, it's unique in the way that I've kind of made it, not instead of just being one cohesive property, i.e. being like I'm designing it for a family to live in, I've actually turned it into 2 separate homes, and I feel like that's like unique for that kind of place. As very few of them have that big of a cellar that I could do that with, but also seeing as the previous occupant had already been living downstairs, God knows how, but he didn't have a bed to sleep on and he didn't really have much of a kitchen or anything else. But then again, he was a single man living in a hole, so well, who am I to say? But yeah, I feel like it's very unique in that it's like 2 separate homes now, and that it's been properly kitted out. Obviously the downstairs one, if I was renting it out to people, would have a much cheaper rate, given that, you know, it doesn't have as much light, and like some of the utility sections aren't as big, and obviously it's a bit more of like a studio as compared to the upstairs one where everything's got its own separate space. But I think I did a pretty good job at also keeping it in the grayscale, but also adding colours in, because in my mind, my only real options to start off with before I started the challenge was that I was going to have to be like every single renovator. I don't know if you ever watched a show called Homes Under the Hammer, but you could just tell when someone's taken a house and they don't care about renovating it, and all they do is they paint every wall white and all they have is like grey or cream carpets, just because it's easier to sell. Like, it is the minimum amount of effort to put into a home. And obviously in House Flipper you can't do that. Well, you could, but what I mean is that you have to add furniture in as well for it to classify as like different rooms, otherwise it would just be an empty home, and you can't really sell an empty home. So when I was thinking about that, I was like, oh my god, am I just gonna have to do what every single lazy renovator does and just do that? White walls, grey carpet in every single room. And I was like, no, I'm gonna stay true to my usual style of renovating and try my best to match in with this challenge like I have done for the other properties and give it a fair chance. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that I accidentally sold that piece of wood paneling, because it meant that I got to do a little bit with the garden stuff as well, which I very rarely use, because it would take me like twice as long to renovate a property, and given that some of them take me like 7 hours to do, I think that I spend more than long enough on a lot of the houses. But yeah, so next week we've got the family house, so we will be doing that one next week, and we will be aiming to sell it to the Johnson family, obviously, because it's a family home. So that's exciting, and I'm ready to do that. It'll be a break from the paint challenges. We'll just be doing it to try and get them to buy it, as they are the last buyers that we've got. But I'm going to call it there for today. I have got in mind another challenge, given what I've just said. I'm thinking on one of the properties that I have is just doing like the bare minimum, and I'm not joking, like white walls, carpet or wood, and like the bare minimum amount of furniture to see what you really need in this game to get it to qualify. I want to do like as cheap as renovation possible. So that will be one of the future challenges I will be doing. I mean, I've not got too many properties left for base games, so we're going to do the best that we can with that. I will let you know when that challenge comes up, but in other words, we've got 3 different things on the go. We've got to sell to the Johnsons, we've got to do the cheapest renovation possible, and we've got to continue with the colour challenge. So please do keep watching, because those are all coming up in the next couple of weeks as I finish the base game part of this series. But yeah, I'm going to call it there for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have got any other challenges in mind, as we do still have a couple of the expansion pack properties left to do, as I've been doing base game first, please do comment them down below. And as I always say, either the most liked comment or the comment that the challenge that appears the most will be the one that gets done, unless I feel like it's not actually feasible for this game. So make sure the challenge is possible and clearly outline your rules so everybody knows what's going on. But yeah, as I say, if you have enjoyed, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Comment your ideas down below, and I'll see you all next week. Bye for now.